our geography class of the week. I know this PowerPoint looks very, very familiar to you guys because we have done it before. We are going to go over coastal features because I do believe when we did cover it, there was a lot of confusion, and it's always good to review the material. So make sure you have your geography books in front of you and your notebooks with a pencil or a pen, and you open up to pages 32 and 33. Okay? Alrighty, so let's get started. Okay, I want everybody to read with me, like follow up with me, and we will answer the questions along the way. Okay, so coastal features. The first question is, what is a coast? A coast is a place where the land meets the ocean and sea. I'm sure most of you remember this when we covered it in class. So, like in the picture provided on the PowerPoint, do you see how there's water? And do you see how there's land? Okay, so literally the meeting point of the two, the meeting point of where the water and the land meet, that is called a coast. Okay? So a coast is a place where the land meets the ocean and sea. A map of the world is really a map of the coasts of the various continents and countries. The world has about 312,000 kilometers of coastline. Have you visited any places on the coast? If you want, I'm sure most of you have. If you guys have been to any tropical areas or if you've been to any beaches, you have definitely seen a coast. Okay? So a coast is where the land meets the ocean and the sea. And another example, like for you to get a better idea, if you guys take a look at a map, you can see that there are two colors on a map. There's green and there's blue. The green represents land, whereas the blue represents water. Okay? So the lines that kind of create the land, those are coastlines, right? Because it's where the land and the water meet. Okay? So I hope that gives you a better idea of things. So yeah, what is a coast? It's where the land meets the ocean or the sea. And if you calculate it, the world has 312,000 kilometers of coastline. Okay? Okay, so let's move on to a seashore. So, in your books, let's follow along. The seashore. The seashore is the land along the coast. Some seashores have a strip of sand, shingle, pebbles, or mud at the edge of the sea. This is called a beach. Sometimes there are cliffs or sand dunes behind the beach. Okay? So as you can see, this is a picture of a seashore. The seashore is the land along the coast. Not the water, not the land and water, just the land, okay? The land along the coast. That is a seashore. All right? Some seashores, if you've been to several beaches, I'm sure you have noticed a difference. Some beaches, their seashores are made up of sand, okay? Whereas other seashores, they're made up of mud or pebbles. Pebbles are kind of they're rocks, okay? They're round rocks, okay? So yeah, seashores are the land. Seashores are the land along the coast, and some seashores have a strip of land, shingle, pebbles, or mud at the edge of the sea. All right. Okay. What is a beach? A beach is the loose sand, shingle, or other materials at the edge of an ocean, sea, or lake. Very similar to a seashore, okay? Sometimes at the beach, there are cliffs or sand dunes behind the beach. So if you guys take a look at page 32, at the bottom of the seashore paragraph, there's a picture of the cliffs behind the beach, okay? And like they're shaped in a very weird way, and we're going to talk about why in a bit. But here in the book, it says, the wind and the waves have shaped this coastline in Australia into a series of cliffs, caves, bays, and rocky towers called stacks. Okay? Okay, so what is a stack? Like we mentioned, a stack is a pillar of rock in the sea near the cliffs. Okay, so do you guys, everybody take a look at the pictures on your right? Yeah, stacks are basically rocks in the middle of the water. Okay, and usually these stacks are very close to, cliffs and stuff. So what is a stack? A stack is a pillar of rock in the sea near the cliffs. I know some of you are just like, I know, miss. I know you know, guys. This is just a review, okay? I'm sure you guys remember everything. And hopefully once we finish with coasts, we're going to move on to wind and hurricanes and all that stuff, okay? So yeah, please make sure you're writing as well while we move along. You can just like pause the video if you want to stop and write. Okay, so like we mentioned before, why does the shape of the coast change all the time? Okay, obviously we know that it magically doesn't change, okay? And it's a really different shape. It's not like they're straight and they're very coordinated. They're shaped very weirdly, right? So why does the shape of the coast change all the time? What's doing that? The shape of the coast changes all the time because of the action of the waves and the wind, because the waves and the wind are consistently hitting the coast. They're consistently hitting on the coast. They're consistently hitting on the cliffs. And this honestly causes the shape of both to completely change. Because winds, I don't know, like I'm sure you guys have, a majority of you have been to a beach or a body of water near sunset. The wind is very, very heavy at times. Like it's very strong to a point where it can really shape up rocks and the coast. Okay? So wind and waves do shape up the coast and cliffs. Okay? Okay, so let's just continue in the book. We're still on page 32 underneath the picture, where the title is Changing Coastlines. Okay, so changing coastlines. The shape of the coast changes all the time because of the action of the waves and wind. Where the rocks are soft, the waves wear away the land, moving the coast inland. Where the rocks are hard, there may be a little damage. There may be little change. In some places, the waves form new land along the seashore by bringing sand and tiny pieces of rock from the other parts of the coast. Okay, so let's stop right here and answer the question. When does the coast move inland? Okay, so the coast moves inland where the rocks are soft and the waves wear away the land, moving the coast inland. Okay? So make sure you just jot that down. Okay. When does the new land form? Okay, so the new land forms where the rocks are hard. The waves form new land along the seashore by bringing sand and tiny pieces of rock from other parts of the coast. I know a lot of you have written these notes in your notebook, so if you already have and you're not missing anything, just follow along, okay? This should be a review for you. Okay, so let's continue reading so we can answer this question. So, some of the largest inlets on the coast are estuaries. Estuaries where rivers flow into the sea. Tiny pieces of mud and sand swept along by the river gradually settle on the bottom where the river's current is slowed when it meets the sea. Over many years, the particles form large areas called mudflats. Eventually, these mudflats may dry out and form new land. Okay, so let's cover the first question. What are estuaries? Okay, so if we take a look at the picture to your right, it's basically when a river, okay, so there's obviously a difference between a river and a sea. Okay, a river is a very, it's thin and yeah, it's very skinny and, you know, it's not as big as the sea. So as you can see in this picture over here, you could see that, you know, there's a little river and it eventually goes and meets the sea, okay? So it's when a river eventually opens out into the sea. So a river and a sea are basically connected, okay? So it's the wide mouth of a river where the fresh water meets the sea. What is a current? Okay? A current is the movement of water, air or water in a particular direction. So it's basically, yeah, the direction the air and the water is going in. That is considered the current. Okay? Also, if you take a look at the picture on page 32, that is also another picture of an estuary. You can see that there's a very skinny river, and eventually this river goes out into the sea. So you see that an estuary is the mouth of a river where it flows into the sea. And in the picture provided in the book, that is in Wales. Okay? Okay, our next question is, what are mudflats? Mudflats are a stretch of muddy land left uncovered at low tide, as you can see in the picture on the right. Okay, so it is a stretch of muddy land left uncovered at low tide. Mudflats also may dry out and form new land. Okay. Now, a big question is, why are coasts important? Okay, so let's read it in the book and then we'll answer the questions. We'll continue reading page 33 and then we'll get back to these questions. So, why are coasts important? We use sheltered parts of the coast as ports for ships and fishing boats. A lot of our food, including fish and shellfish, comes from places on the coast. Salt, oil, and natural gas are found in coastal areas. Many people go to the coast for their holidays or to enjoy sports and leisure activities. So how are people... okay, so let's just cover this question first. Why are coasts important? Well, we just read about it. Firstly, coasts are important because We use sheltered parts of the coasts as ports for ships and fishing boats. So remember in class when I mentioned ports are kind of like parking lots for boats, okay, boats and ships. And obviously, when a boat comes in a body of water, when it comes on land, it needs to stop at the coast, right? For the people to obviously come off the ship or unload the stuff off the ship or put it on the ship. Do you know what I mean? So coasts are important because they are used as ports for ships and fishing boats. Another reason is that coasts contain a lot of our food. Like it has a lot. In coasts, it includes fish and shellfish, and yeah. So wait, let me just read that again. A lot of our food, including fish and shellfish, comes from the places on the coast. Okay? Without coasts, we wouldn't have fish. Another reason is salt, oil, and natural gas are found in coastal areas. Okay? So that's a big one. The fourth reason, many people go to the coast for their holidays or to enjoy sports and leisure activities. Okay, I'm definitely one of those people. I'm sure a majority, all of you, most if not all of you are. A lot of people like to go to the beach, sit by the coast and just enjoy themselves. Okay, and they'd like to play leisure activity, like take part in leisure activities there. For example, they go swimming, or they play volleyball on the beach, or skiing. Do you know what I mean? I'm skiing. No, sorry. They go boating. Okay, all that kind of stuff. So please do keep in mind of these 4 important reasons. Okay, so let's continue reading in the book. So, how people have harmed the coast. People damage the coast in many ways. They leave litter and they damage sand dunes by walking or driving over them. When oil, sewage, and harmful chemicals from factories, towns, and cities are pumped into the sea, this pollutes the beaches and seawater. It harms plants and animals living along the coast and makes the seawater dangerous to bathe in. Okay, so how have people harmed the coasts? One huge way people have harmed the coasts is that they leave litter. They leave garbage all around it, okay? Which is very, very terrible. The second reason is they damage sand dunes by walking or driving over them. Okay? So we need to, in order to, preserve the coast, in order to save coasts, we need to avoid littering. We need to stop throwing garbage onto the ground, and we need to stop, into the water, because obviously the water is a home to millions, like thousands and thousands of fish. Right? You're just completely polluting the water with unnecessary things. And, driving your cars on sand dunes or walking over them. And when oil, sewage, and harmful chemicals from factories, towns, and cities are pumped into the sea. So that is a very, very big negative. That just needs to stop. Usually factories, towns, sorry, let me repeat that. So basically the oil, sewage, and harmful chemicals from the factories, towns, and cities are dumped into the sea, which is very, very bad for the things living in the sea, okay? So yeah. Just keep those in mind. And yeah, let's read the did you know fact. Did you know? The world's longest estuary is that of the river Ob in Russia. It is 885 kilometers long and up to 80 kilometers wide. Interesting. That's that is literally the world's longest estuary, and we have provided a picture to your right. That is crazy. So yeah, that was basically the last slide. I know this was a review for you, but you know, it's always good to just repeat ourselves, okay? Make sure you guys have written the notes. If you already have, then great. I will definitely provide you with some geography homework next week. And yes, okay? So if you have any questions, just, you know, leave me a comment. And I hope you have a great day. Thank you guys very, very much.